just be here, relax, listen to some Minecraft music while looking at this beautiful fireplace. And I'm gonna read you guys a few bedtime stories. I just looked up bedtime stories for adults. So let's get started. This one is titled Leo the Cat and the Thief. Let's begin. There must be somewhere up here I can make myself comfortable, Leo thought, sniffing every corner of the attic. The place wasn't particularly tidy. The attic was considered the junk room of the house. It was where anything that was no longer needed could be found. Old dressers, dusty lampshades, worn-out suitcases, and abandoned travel souvenirs from faraway countries lay scattered on the floor. Time-worn pictures leaned against the walls, wrapped in cloth when there had no longer been a suitable place for them to be displayed in the apartment. All this surrounded the cat as he searched for a satisfactory place to settle. Why does my family keep all this junk? He thought, wrinkling his nose at all the dust. It smells awfully musty in here, plus it's gloomy with all these little skylights. And all these cobwebs everywhere are not very inviting. Well, meow. What I won't do to find some peace and quiet. At that moment, one was actually better off in the attic than anywhere else in the house. A burst water pipe in the bathroom had thrown the main living area into chaos. The whole living room was underwater and all the carpets were soaked. It had probably happened when Leo was sleeping on the warm windowsill because he hadn't even noticed. He had woken up hungry, and it was only when he jumped down to the floor that he had realized what a mess the room was. Wet paws are not for cats, he had thought. He had looked around for a dry patch, but water was everywhere. Where did all this come from? He had wondered. In one leap, he had jumped back onto the windowsill to wait. A short while later, his family had come in the room with buckets, friends, and even neighbors. They all had rubber boots on in the middle of the living room. Leo had then been unceremoniously lifted from the windowsill and set down in the hallway on the ladder up to the attic. It's going to be a few days until we get this It's going to be a few days until we get this all dry and back to the way it was, they had told him. They had shaken their heads at the mess before starting to skim the water off and mop it up. That's why Leo was now in the attic, trying to find a peaceful place to rest. After a thorough examination of the space, he found it quite exciting to look out of the open skylight. Wow, it's pretty high up here. I wonder what it would be like to walk on the roof, he thought. Leo had never tried such a daring thing before. Meow. I'll just go out to the chimney to see how the view is from there. The cat thought to himself as he jumped onto the roof. Leo felt strong and brave. He strutted from one end of the roof to the other and discovered a bird's nest in the gutter. He watched excitingly as birds flew into the nest with the worm or fly in their beak. chimney and enjoyed the warm rays of sun and warm wind on his nose. Unfortunately, his newfound peace did not last long. Suddenly, down in the courtyard, the sirens of police cars were wailing. Leo was startled, and sat rooted to the spot. I had to catch my breath real quick. Before he could look down to see what they were after, he saw a man approaching. He had a large, heavy bag on his back and had just climbed onto the roof. He was now on his way towards the chimney where Leo was hiding. Leo didn't make a sound. He would have liked to escape, but he didn't dare look out from behind the chimney. Somehow he knew this man was trouble. What's that guy doing on the roof? He doesn't look very friendly. Luckily, he hasn't spotted me yet, thought Leo as he circled the chimney again and again, so as not to be discovered. He kept the stranger in his sight. From below, an announcement sounded from the police loudspeaker. Please close all doors and windows. There is a thief on the run in the area. The cat's fur bristled. What was he supposed to do now? Are thieves dangerous to cats too? He briefly wondered. But there wasn't time for that now. He had to act. As the man was about to take the heavy sack from his shoulder and throw it down the chimney, Leo mustered all his courage. He arched his back, jumped out from behind the chimney, and hissed at the thief like a lion. Then he jumped from the skylight back to his family's attic and pulled the window shut behind him. The thief was so startled that he lost his balance and began to slide off the roof. He just managed to grab hold of the gutter. His heavy bag tumbled down and landed with a thud down in the yard. The police looked up and discovered the thief. Now all they had to do was pull him down and take him to the police station. Leo had not expected such excitement. No one is going to believe all this meow, he thought to himself. My family is so busy, I'm sure they didn't even notice. A short time later, Leo's family came up to the attic, still in rubber boots and visibly exhausted. They had brought him something to eat. They opened the skylight, stuck their heads out the window, and peered at the chimney. Oh, Leo, how good that you weren't frightened by all this action. Just think, a thief tried to escape across our roof. The police asked us if we have a cat because the thief kept repeating, if that cat hadn't been there, you never would have caught me. If you only knew, Leo grinned, letting himself be scratched briefly before setting to work on his food. He had truly earned this meal. 10 out of 10. Leo's the goat. Leo is the goat. He stopped a burglar, or a thief, I guess. Alright, on to the next story. Okay, this next one is called Jasper the Lion. Actually, it's called Jasper the Thoughtful Lion. It's all by the same authors. I don't see the actual names, but I see someone named Chrissy and Tom that created these. So, shout out to Chrissy and Tom. Let's begin. Jasper the Lion could hear their laughter even from a distance. Susan the Zebra, Richard the Meerkat playfully raced. Susan the Zebra and Richard the Meerkat playfully raced through the dry grass, kicking up dust and sand. When they were completely out of breath, they ran over to the shady spot where Jasper was sitting. Hey Jasper, with us, said Susan. What's the matter, Jasper? Richard asked, noticing Jasper's mood. What were you thinking about? Jasper didn't even really know what he had just been thinking about. Just keep playing without me, he mumbled. Susan and Richard looked at each other. But Jasper, you're going to miss the whole day if you keep this up, said Susan. Can we help? Maybe the three of us could think about it together. But Jasper didn't want to accept their help. Friends always stick together, said Richard. And if you don't tell us what's on your mind, we'll tickle you until you do. Susan and Richard giggled at the idea of tickling Jasper's tummy. All right, I'll tell you, said Jasper before they could tickle him. There was an accident yesterday when I was visiting my grandmother. I was playing chase with my little cousin, and I was about to finally catch him when I tripped over a tree root and fell into the table. I heard a terrible crash. When I turned around, I saw Grandma's favorite teapot lying on the ground in pieces. Was she very mad? Asked Susan, who sympathized with Jasper. No, she wasn't at all, he said. She told me not to worry about it, but I know how much she loved that teapot. Jasper looked even sadder now. Enough sulking, said Richard. Why don't we help you glue the pieces together? Her grandma won't even notice any difference from before. Jasper took out a bag with the pieces of the broken pot. Richard got glue and a brush, and in no time, the three of them had glued the teapot back together. Well, it doesn't look like new, but I'm sure your grandma will be very happy anyway, said Susan. Let's go see what she says, said Jasper. The three of them set off. They were greeted by Jasper's grandma at the garden gate. Hello, you three, she said. Do you want to have a piece of cake with me? I still have a few left over from yesterday. I can offer you juice and water to go. I'd love some tea, said Jasper, and I have the perfect teapot, too. Jasper beamed as he handed his grandma the repaired teapot. You three are the best, said Grandma. This teapot is very old. It belonged to my grandmother. Thank you so much for fixing it. Now let's eat cake. Jasper smiled and felt all his worries melt away. Okay, another W. W friendship. W friendship. I like that. Jasper, you know, he's got some good homies with him. Okay, next story. Okay, this one is titled Leo the Cat Needs to See a Doctor. I don't know if this is the same Leo, but I'm pretty sure it is, from the first story we read. Alright, let's see. Let us get started. Actually, the day started really well for Leo the cat. He lounged neatly on his beloved windowsill and yawned relaxed. This is the same Leo from the first story, because he's on a windowsill. The first rays of sunlight illuminated the large room and announced a beautiful spring day. High time for a delicious breakfast, Leo decided, enthusiastically. He stretched and strolled leisurely into the kitchen. People would still asleep, and that's when Leo had a wonderful idea. Always having breakfast alone is boring. Today I'll really surprise my family and set the breakfast table for everyone, he mused. In a really good mood, Leo got started. With a nimble jump, he landed on the countertop, opened the cupboard doors, and rummaged out colorful cups, plates, and egg cups. He very carefully transported them to the table. I think this is everything they usually put on the table, he reflected briefly. the safe side, he looked over his handiwork again, but still wasn't quite satisfied. Oh yes, it's still missing a few flowers. With flowers, everything looks cozier. That's what he always heard from his humans before. He quickly dashed out to the patio through the built-in hatch and plucked 3 tulips. These were the only flowers in the garden right now. Quietly, he walked back inside. Shh, don't wake anyone up. It's supposed to be a surprise, he thought to himself. Conveniently, the vase Leo needed for the flowers was already in the sink. So fill it up with water and put in the flowers, he purred happily. The vase full of water was heavier than Leo imagined, but somehow he managed to place it in the middle of the large table. Meow. Now I'm really hungry. Now all that's left is to put the flowers in the vase, and then breakfast can begin. He grabbed the tulips and was about to put them in the jar when suddenly a large bumblebee, buzzing loudly, flew out of one of the tulips. Leo was startled. He had not expected that at all. He hadn't had much experience with buzzing creatures before. He reached for it with his paw and forgot that he was standing in the middle of the beautifully laid breakfast table. And there it was. A plate and a cup fell from the table and broke on the tiled floor. With a loud crash and clink, the cat was still standing on his hind paws, flailing his 2 front paws at the buzzing bumblebee in an attempt to catch it. The bumblebee was quite unimpressed by this, however, and flew off toward the window. Leo jumped off the table, chasing the bumblebee. He had on the broken dishes, and a loud and whining meow resounded through the house. The cat had injured one of his paws, and the shard was still stuck in his paw. Meow, it hurts so much, wailed Leo. What am I going to do now? And when a small drop of blood appeared, Leo felt queasy. What's all this noise this morning? What's all that noise this morning? Leo heard his humans shout, and why is there such a mess around here? They were standing in the kitchen by now, bending down to the cat. Leo's master took an examining look at his paw, very carefully pulled out the shard and dabbed it with some of that stuff that burned a little. It's not too bad, Leo, he said to the cat. We'll get that fixed up. It'll heal real soon, he comforted him. And then he carried the cat to his basket. So now Leo lay there, injured, alone, and also quite hungry. I had this morning so beautifully thought out. It was supposed to be a great breakfast together, he grumbled. And then such a mishap. Meow. Luckily they are not mad at me at all, which calmed Leo down a bit. He looked at and licked his injured paw again and again, but it didn't hurt so much anymore. Now he heard the humans talking, and he pricked his ears curiously. I think that's very nice. You just set the table so nicely. It looks so pretty with the tulips, the woman said to her husband. The very same ones are blooming in our flower bed at the moment. Oh, and I thought it was you, the husband replied, puzzled and busy getting the sweeper and mop out of the closet. But what was Leo doing on the table again? He knows perfectly well that he's not allowed to, the woman continued. And the beautiful dishes. I'll have to have a serious talk with our Leo about that. But first, the doctor has to look at his paw. I'll make an appointment at the doctor's office right away. The cat found the conversation quite funny at first, because his humans, as so often, did not catch on to him when he gave them a surprise. He almost forgot about his pain and smirked slightly. But after he heard that he had to go to the doctor, his mood visibly changed. Who knows what the doctor will do to me? The thought of the upcoming appointment made Leo all nervous. He's not going to give me a shot, is he? The cat's furry hair stood up in an instant. It always did when he didn't like something. Let the bumblebee go to the doctor, small incident. Leo was about to make himself comfortable when his humans came along with a strange box, into which he should now climb. Transport basket, they called the thing. It didn't seem to occur to them that one could get claustrophobic in it. "I'm not going in there," he was about to protest. "Nothing hurt me anymore either." But before he knew it, everyone was in the car and the ride was on. Leo felt very uncomfortable, as he always did when he didn't know what was coming. He didn't get any better when they entered the vet's office and took a seat in the waiting room. Somewhat comforting was that a few fellow sufferers seemed to be just as reluctant to visit the doctor as he was. They expressed this with quiet whimpers. Leo was very nervous, and when it was finally their turn, he would have preferred to stay in the narrow box. But it was no use. He was gently taken out and found himself on a kind of couch. The doctor had a pleasant voice and talked to his humans. Then, after a few crawls, the doctor began his examination. He was thoroughly palpated. The paw was examined under a thick magnifying glass, and the all clear was given. "There's no need for an injection. The wound is tiny and just needs a quick cleaning. For protection, we just put on a bandage. Then no dirt can get in the wound. In a few days, everything will be forgotten," the doctor announced. This doesn't feel bad at all, Leo thought. In fact, it's quite nice here. So all that excitement was for nothing again. Meow. Leo's mood improved abruptly. A few minutes later, everyone was already back in the car and on their way home. "Oh, Leo," said the woman, "the things you always do. It's a good thing today is our day off. I can't imagine what would have happened if you had been home alone. Please pay a little more attention next time, and a cat has no business on the table anyway. You know that," and continued to scratch him behind the ears. The man praised Leo. "You did very well today at the doctor's office. You were really very well behaved." "Sure thing," the cat thought. "I'm not a scaredy cat," and purred to himself quite proudly and contently. After that, the man turned to his wife and said, "Who actually is at the table this morning?" Leo grinned and looked forward to his home. The end. I can see on this page is a lot of the same character, because I can see another one called Leo the cat gets spring fever. Leo the cat builds a birdhouse. Like, this man Leo's doing everything. But I'm gonna end the video here, guys. Let me know in the comments if you want more videos like this. I just thought I'd try it out, and hopefully you guys are actually asleep.